Kleynhans, exclusively on Breakfast with Friends.
This morning, Nico joins us in studio to talk about change, a word that can bring fear to the tallest and biggest of men, to the smallest of people. Change is not always comfortable, but thank you for being willing to unpack this for us, Nico.
Yes, it's an uncomfortable topic to talk about because I am more comfortable talking about change, things that you can touch, and this is a feely subject, and that's not always easy to talk about. But the trigger was actually a phone call that happened a couple of days ago. I was in a supermarket and I was doing the weekly shop, and that's a clipboard full of groceries that I have to buy for a whole clan of people. And I've got to focus, otherwise I get something wrong. And the phone rang off and there was a teenager on the other end. And his sort of hysterical comment was, "Uncle's trying to kill himself. What do I do?" And now I'm in the shop and there's a lot of noise and this teenager is clearly afraid. So I first try to work out, what do you tell a teenager? Because his anchor, the person who's been looking after him for a couple of years now, is out of control. And he thinks he's responsible. And he doesn't know how to stop it. And he doesn't know how to get this person calmed down. The end of the conversation is that we were able to get Uber to go out and pick up these two, bring them home. I was able to get the uncle to a medical practitioner. We were able to start processes of healing, start some tablets, and the story will have a reasonably happy ending. But it was a tough couple of moments. And then I began to wonder, well, this is not actually the first time that I've had calls like this. And what does the Bible actually say about change?
Sure.
And as I did that, I thought, why is it sometimes that we consider change to be bad when change actually at the end of the day is generally a good thing? But it's frightening, I guess. So I then began to remember, well, there was a Mr. X who phoned me as well. And he had gambled away 100,000 rand. Oh! And like most married men, how do you tell your wife you'd gambled away 100,000 rand? Well, it's simple. You tell her a lie. And you say you got scammed. And then you promise, let's go and get financial advice and let's try and sort the problem out. Now, that's okay if you don't go and gamble again. And if you do go and gamble again, now it becomes more complicated because now you have to start being honest, and your wife has got to make changes because she can't allow you to have access to money anymore. Otherwise, she's just feeding your habit.
Exactly.
And that's going to be catastrophic for your family.
Yeah.
And then that process of change can become extremely painful. Yesterday morning early, I met with a group of young missionaries. And they're part of a Christian organization that I was part of in the year of 1973.
Wow.
So I wanted to go and see how mission work has changed for that particular organization. And I asked each of them, because the year is about to end, what have you learned? What was the trigger that made you go there? And how do you feel about next year? And as we had those kind of discussions, it was phenomenal to see how these young people who come from rural areas, what made them make the change of the village they were from to stepping into ministry, and what kind of courage it took for them to say to their folks, I want to go out. I want to serve. and also then to see how the year has changed their lives, and now to see what plans they have for the future and the ways in which they've worked out how those plans are going to be implemented. And I was very, very thrilled. And I've in fact put it on my Facebook, the photographs of some of these young people, so that I have a record, because it's something I want to remember and I want to be part of. And I began to remember then what it was like for me after 15 years of doing what they did for 1 year. How lonely it was the day I decided I'm going to walk out, go and get myself a suit, and start doing business things for the first time in my life. But change happens. And I often wondered what would have happened if Saul had not decided to change. We would not have had Paul.
Yeah, true.
And if Peter had not decided to change, we wouldn't have had the rock. So, folks, I know the listeners of this radio station by now have been around long enough. There are some of you who have this question in your mind. There is a change that you have to bring about. Sometimes we just need to be honest with God. And I know that it sounds like it's a contradiction. But there's nothing that we can say to God which is going to surprise God. There's nothing that we can do that brings about change, that at the end of the day, we'll look back and it will not be an unpleasant surprise that we made the move. So if it really gets tough, get your prayer diary out and start making notes. Make notes of what God is saying to you and start making the change. But a new world is possible, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Mr. Nico. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.